on my team, Will McGinley, Amanda Snyder, and Kim McCurdy. So their contact information will be at the end of the presentation. So you will be able to have that. And again, this presentation will be emailed to you to the email address that you utilize to register. So thank you, and let's get started. I'm going to hide my camera. I'm going to hide me so I don't distract you from the information we're providing. So we're here today to talk about getting ready for college in the different stages, in different age groups, and just give you an overview of what that process is like and how it really benefits you to start thinking about college in as early as possible.
Laura, I believe you muted yourself. I don't know if it's just me, but I can't hear you.
You're
Yes.
right, I did.
There we go.
Not on purpose. So I don't know where you didn't hear me, but we'll talk a little bit about PHEAA and and um, and our mission to allow people that students that are interested in going to college to be able to afford to go to college. And so that is our mission statement. That's what we're here for. And we have the Pennsylvania State Grant Program, and then we have Pennsylvania or PHEAA Private Student Loan Program, which is the division that me and my colleagues that are here today work for. It's not advancing. Okay, sorry. It's just slow. Everybody's situation is unique. And so we're going to walk through some of the basics, information that we think is important for you to know. But, you know, your family, your situation, your financial aid packages, the schools that you select, those are all unique to you. And so you shouldn't really, compare yourself to other students that you go to high school with that because this really is unique to you, and so we're just guiding you. And of course, if you have any questions, we are providing our information at the end of this deck, but you also have your guidance counselors or high school counselors who are there to provide information. And then once you do decide which college you're going to go to, you have your admissions team there and your financial aid professionals. We're going to talk about why it's so important to plan for college. We're going to talk and show you some collateral that we have for elementary school, for middle school, for the kind of information we can provide for high schoolers. We'll talk a little bit about the overview of the higher education financial aid process. And, then we'll talk about some of the other things as to how you're going to pay for your education with all the financial aid that's available to you, and then student loans. I'm a financial aid professional for a long time. So, this is my wheelhouse. I've been director of financial aid twice. I've been a scholarship coordinator at a state institution. So, I'm here to provide my insight in, what I think is important for you to keep in mind, and then to hopefully take a little bit of the scare out of applying for financial aid, and and then make it easier for you when you get into the process. So it's important that you realize how much it costs to go to college. It's always in the news how much student loan debt is out there, and so that's why we really think it's important that you investigate all kinds of options to pay for school and to choose the college that you're going to go to, not only based on the program of study, but how much does it cost and can you afford to attend there? We have all kinds of materials, and if you look at the top of the page above elementary school options, you'll see our website, the PHEAA.org/order online. This is where you can go and order the materials that you'll be seeing. So this is our elementary school options. So you can see the one brochure, It's Never Too Early to Start Saving. And then we have some fun, and they're colorful and obviously age appropriate. And if you are a counselor on this call, you can order as many of these as you need, and and put them in your office, um, your counselor office for the students to come and get as needed. 529 savings plan. This is always a good idea to start early. It's to start saving for early. A 529 savings plan is specifically for saving for college attendance, and you can never start too early. So the picture here shows, a small child. And again, you can start these as middle school, you can start these in high school. So it's never too late or too early to open a 529 plan, and you can investigate these either in your area or at the state level. Middle school options. Here's some literature that we have for the middle school audience. You can see there's a guide, and they're all thinking, right? They're all thinking about college. And so these are very helpful. And again, the PHEAA.org/order online website. If you need to find these, they are there. And again, you can order a quantity. Beginning high school. Here's some start your research and understanding higher education options. These are very popular and very good in providing information, especially navigating college fair, because this is when you start that process, right? You're going to start thinking about, you know, what do I want to be and what kind of education do I need for that role? And this information is really helpful. We also have scholarship tips. We also give guidance on how to fill out the FAFSA. And the Guide to Financial Aid is a really nice booklet. It's multi-pages, so you might find that very helpful. And again, this is your first glimpse at our private student loan program. There's the brochure for the Keystone loan and the PA Forward. We also offer, obviously, webinars, and we do have some high school workshops that you can attend. And just like you were invited to attend this webinar, keep your eyes open for other webinars in the future. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the websites that you might find useful. The first one is educationplanner.org. And like it says on the slide, start the conversations early and continue the discussion about the importance of education and doing well to help students succeed. So this education planner has a lot of really great information, and you can see it helps not only parents, students, and there's also a counselor section. And we're going to see this website later in the presentation as well. My next move, maybe you don't really know what you want to do, and maybe this website might help you with what your interests are and what kind of jobs go along with what you're really good at in school. And so you like math, or you want to be helpful to people, or you're environmental friendly. So you can kind of use this website to kind of gauge what are your likes, what are your dislikes, what are your strengths, into kind of correlating into that into a career. MySmartBorrowing.org is a website that I think you should become very familiar with. You can start now if you are in the early stages of searching for colleges, but it's also going to be very helpful during college as you're borrowing, and then when you're done with your college career, and then you're going to end up going into repayment on your student loans. This is really, really helpful website, and offers a lot of guidance and a lot of calculators. So mysmartborrowing.org would be a good website to bookmark. So we're just going to do a little overview of the process of higher education. And as we talked about education planner, research the schools that you're interested in attending. And I think it's really important that not only that they have the program, obviously, that you want to study, but Think about what kind of college you want to go to. How big do you want it to be? The location of where you want it. Do you want to be in a rural setting? Do you want to be in a city setting? Do you want to be in the burbs, right? So, depending on where you think you're going to learn best is really important when you're looking at your school options. Net price calculator, the second bullet, you can use collegecost.ed.gov, but also the colleges that you're interested in attending will have a net price calculator on their website. So you can utilize that to kind of figure out how much is it going to cost for me to go to this college. If you can, we highly recommend that you visit the school. Schools have, their own culture and they have a feel to them, and you want to make sure that it's going to be a good match for you. So if you can go to the school in person, that'd be great, but make sure that if you can't, you at least do the virtual tours. Apply for admission to your preferred schools. Um, I would, there's going to be a small fee for applying for admissions, but, apply for a couple of schools. Don't have one. I know a lot of people have one that's at the top of their list, and that's great. But, things happen. And so you should have a couple of others in your back pocket of other schools that you want to attend and include them and no, the bullet below that on your FAFSA. And so you're going to have to fill out a FAFSA. You're going to fill it out every year. We have a slide on the FAFSA later in the presentation. But any school that you're going to apply to, any school that you think you're going to apply to, put them in your FAFSA form when you're filling it out. Also investigate your state grant form and fill out to make sure you get the money from the state that you're living in. What's going to happen is after those forms are processed, you'll start receiving offer letters with your financial aid package in them. And then you can compare them to see who's giving you what and what might be the bottom line of what it's going to cost to go to that school. Then you'll make your decision, you'll pay your deposit. You'll receive your first bill probably in the summer, July 1st. I always say it's always squash your July 4th party with your first semester bill. And then, what's good about that is you actually see how much does it cost to go to that school, what kind of financial aid was deducted, and then what is my remaining balance. Here's just a list of the options for paying for school. We kind of talked about filling out your FAFSA for federal aid and then your state grant program. The school will provide you with any institutional grants or scholarships that you're going to get. We're going to talk about investigating your own scholarships. There'll be job and work study. There's that 529 plan again of family savings. We'll talk a little bit about student loans. And then we have three cautious items here: credit cards, home equity loans, and any withdrawal on any retirement fund. They're there, but they should be used with caution. Scholarships are really, really important that you should be applying for them, not only the ones that are within the college financial aid packaging, but also look for scholarships outside of that. And this slide talks about, where should I look? And we're going to give you some websites, but Google your interests, right? And see, what is your hobby? What are you interested in? And see if there's a scholarship that relates to that. And you know what? 99.9% of the time there is. And the thing about scholarships, especially these outside scholarships, some of them can be specific, some of them can be general, but I encourage you to apply for them because there's a lot of them that go without anybody getting them, and the money just sits there. And so I would fully encourage you to apply for outside scholarships. Even if they're small, they add up. Some of them, especially in the beginning, might be a 1-year scholarship, but that's okay, right? Anything will help. And check with, employers, your parents' employers, Boys and Girls Club, teams that you belong on. See what might be out there for you based on what your activities are. And then create a profile of a resume. This will help put all of your skills and all of the things that you do in one place, make it a better guide for how, what scholarships you might want to apply for. Also can be used for the application process, make it easier for you. Here is some scholarship search sites. So you'll utilize these and they will help you find those scholarships that are unique to you and your interest. Here's educationplanner.org again. I told you we'd see this website again, and here it is. And then this list, FastWeb is very popular search website, scholarships.com. The College Board has a search engine. So yeah, visit these. And then again, we put down here, make sure you check with your school counselor, because a lot of organizations will reach out to the counseling office and give them scholarships, especially if they're particular to that area, or, places of employment that are particular to that school or your school, and community organizations. Here is our scholarship. So PHEAA has a no essay scholarship sweepstakes. It is currently open right now. It's accepting applications until May 1st of this year. And then we'll give out 12 winners per program. So that means 12 winners for PA Forward and 12 winners for Keystone. And as long as you agree to get information from PHEAA, then you can apply for this scholarship, and then we will notify you after May 1st, obviously. All the winners will be notified by the phone number and the email that they've put in the application. So I highly encourage everyone on the webinar here to apply. And you see at the bottom under the picture, there's the website. And again, since we're giving you this presentation, you don't have to scribble these down. Ways to cut costs. It's mindful to think of ways that maybe, we know college can be expensive, and how do you how do you cut some cost? And it's important that you keep in mind, should I live on campus or should I be a commuter? Should I go for a cheaper meal plan if I am living on campus? I've seen a lot in my past history of students that they get assigned, a general meal plan and then realize I don't eat that much, right? I eat once a day, but I'm on a meal plan that gives me 3 meals a day. You can change those. So take a look at, a cheaper meal plan. Utilize student discounts. There's all kinds of information once you get on campus that are, available to you, and who's got a relationship with the college where they're cutting costs to save the student money. Look into clubs and organizations, maybe a work study job or a job that is close to campus so you can pick up some spending money. Maybe a residence assistance where you're an RA in the dorm and, you get a stipend for, fulfilling that role. File your FAFSA. This is very important. You're going to create a student.gov username and password. Keep that username and password in a safe place so that you can pull it up and use it every year that you're applying for financial aid. And like I said earlier, you're going to apply every year. Student.gov is where you're going to go. And we've put a little picture of the website as it looks right now. And so if you're going to school in the academic year 26-27, then your FAFSA form is open and available. If you're going next year for 27-28, oh my gosh, they open October 1st. So every year when you apply for financial aid FAFSA, it'll open October 1st. Meeting deadlines, so especially schools prior to filing deadlines. So as a director of financial aid, I only had a certain amount of money to give out in my institutional grants and scholarships. And so I required a deadline for FAFSA filing so that you were in the first group of the students that I packaged early. And so check the school's website, the financial aid website, check with your admissions counselor, like when should I be filing my FAFSA? So that you are in that first group of packaged financial aid packages. And as a returning student, same thing. I had a returning student's financial aid deadline. So everybody who filed their FAFSA by a certain date, even as a returning student, got their financial aid packages early. And so just like there's only so much money freshman year, there's only so much money sophomore year, there's only so much money going forward, right? So you want to make sure that you don't get a grant or scholarship because you filed late. So be very mindful of those dates of when is the priority for filling out the FAFSA form. Um, once you fill out your FAFSA form, this third bullet, student aid index, is determined, and it's called SAI, and you'll see this. So your student aid index is a number that is utilized in filling and figuring out within the financial aid office how much financial aid you are eligible for. And I'll show you a slide about that. And then once you fill out your FAFSA and it's received and processed, you will get emailed to you your FAFSA submission summary so that you can see what's on your form. You'll also be able to see if you need to make any changes. And then it'll also let you know that you might be selected for U.S. Department of Education's process of verification. And that's where you need to provide documentation to the financial aid office to confirm the information you've provided. Not everyone is selected, but you might be. So when a financial aid office is figuring out how much financial aid that you can get, they put together what is called a cost of attendance. Now, every school will have their own cost of attendance. And depending obviously on, if you look at the side of this slide, the direct costs, tuition and fees, housing if you live on campus, that meal plan we talked about. There might be also some other fees like technology fee or parking fee, right? Those are all things that are directly billed to you. And obviously, when you go to school, those things will change because their tuition may be different. How much they charge for housing is different. So all this information on how they built their cost of attendance will be provided in information that is sent along to you with your financial aid package and your offer letter. Indirect is costs that are built into the cost of attendance because they know that you're going to buy books. We know that you need supplies, you have laundry, you have vehicle expenses, you pay for gas, and other miscellaneous expenses. Maybe you need to buy a computer for the program that you're in, things like that. So these costs are built in to the cost of attendance. And again, they'll change by the packaging policy of the college that you are applying to. What's important here is the letters in green, cost of attendance minus that SAI I talked about in the previous screen equals financial need. So this financial need is a number, and that is how much financial aid each particular student and their family can be packaged in for financial aid, right? So federal aid, Pell Grants, work study, then the TAP or the state grant in New York, it's called TAP. Um, and then we fill in any scholarships that you get based on your merit, or any grants that you get based on your need. And so that financial need is actually a dollar amount of financial aid that you can get. Okay. And again, financial aid is going to be different from family to family, from school to school. Okay. So that's important. And again, all of this information is going to be provided to you in the information that accompanies your offer letter. And again, if you have any questions, you could always call the financial aid office for explanation. I'm not going to really read this particular slide because this is all the information that's in the document. It's just it's a nice pyramid that breaks down loans and more loans and work study and family support. So we just wanted to compile a list of options for how to pay for college. Should you borrow? So, student loans is a part of every financial aid package. And so whether you need to borrow or not is obviously, as we said in the beginning, a personal decision. It's unique to you. But bullet number 2 is really something to think about. Is the program that you are going to be studying, do you know how much that degree earns right out of the gate? What is that first job? What is that salary that most graduates will start making once they leave school and that first job? Does it have high income potential, low income potential, medium, low? You need to know when you're going into your curriculum that when you're going to graduate, if you know or can find out, and then we gave you those websites, how much is your earning potential, because that's going to really matter on how much you should be borrowing. Um, how willing and able are your parents or guardians to borrow? And this goes into, and we have slides on the Parent Plus loan. We have slides on the private loans. So if you need a co-signer on a loan, it's really important to know if you have parents or guardians that can be co-signers. And then the federal direct loan is a loan that you take out in your name. And unfortunately, it is a limited amount of money that you can borrow, right? The federal government has set up, and I have a slide on that that we'll talk about, that you can only borrow a certain amount of money at a certain grade level. And if it's not enough, then you're going to end up in these plus or private loan programs. And then there's also direct plus loan. If you're denied, the student can take additional unsub, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. Remember, don't borrow more for your education than what your first year out of college is your income's going to be, right? We don't want you to be underwater. We don't want you to be stressed with the amount of student loan payment that you have to make because your salary doesn't allow you to pay it, right? So only take what you need. If you have to borrow, borrow conservatively, and and be mindful. And again, remember I told you those websites that we gave you, they will help you do that monthly calculation. Federal Direct Program is a loan program taken out in the student's name, and there's no payments required for while you're in school. And I'm talking for the subsidized program. And then it has a 6-month grace period. So you don't go into repayment right away. It does wait for you to graduate or leave school. And then we talk about subsidized, we talk about unsubsidized. Subsidized means the government is paying the interest while you're in school. Unsubsidized means that the interest accrues while you're in school, and you do have the opportunity to pay that. Direct loan program has fixed interest rates and an origination fee. And here's a little chart that obviously you'll have in this presentation to refer back to, but here is for undergraduate students. Like I said before, your first year, you can only borrow $5,500 as a dependent student, and $3,500 of that is subsidized. So if you need more money, if you need to borrow more money than what the $5,500 allows you that first year of school, that's when we're going to get into these other categories. But you just should be aware that if you're like, but I need more money in that loan program, you are restricted to how much you can get each year. The plus loan, direct parent plus loan, is taken out where the parent is the borrower, either biological, adoptive, or step. Does require that the FAFSA is filled out each year by the student. And then there is some new borrowing limits of $20,000 per year with a $65,000 aggregate, and that's per dependent student. And this is something new. It goes into effect July 1st of 2026. Unless you're a current parent loan borrower for that student, if you're a first-time borrower, then you have these new limits. It's different. And again, it's launching July 1st, 2026. Repayment on a plus loan starts right away. The interest will be accruing, doesn't have, can defer payments, but interest does accrue. Again, it has a fixed rate and origination fee. And what's nice about a Parent Plus loan, doesn't have a minimum credit score, right? So they're fairly easy to get. But again, as you see, it's limited to $20,000 a year. Private loans, non-federal loans, they're made by lenders, they're made by state agencies like PHEAA, they are made by credit unions. So if you need additional money and you have a credit-worthy cosigner, this might be a program that you might want to investigate. Usually have some attractive interest rates, no fee, but it is a credit check requirement, right? So you do have to have some decent credit in order to get approved for this loan. And you should always compare these products that are in the marketplace. And a lot of times the colleges that you're thinking about attending will have a lender list on their website that has a comparison tool, so you can kind of take a look and see what the interest rates are and some of the aspects and eligibilities of the loans. See what one might match for you. Here's some things to consider when you're looking at a private loan. Look at the interest rates, look at their fee structures. A lot of private loans have no fees, which is a nice benefit of them compared to um, the Parent Plus loan, which does have a significant fee. So look at the repayment options, look at cosign or release, because maybe, mom or dad will agree to cosign, but once you go into repayment, they want to be released from that obligation. So check into that option. Look at the borrower benefits. There's a lot of borrower benefits, for signing up for auto debit, for graduating on time. So take a look at the borrower benefits because there could be some money, real money saved by, whatever the requirements are for the borrower benefit. If you could meet them, then you can save some significant money in the repayment of that loan. There's also private consolidation and refinance products. Um, and again, check to see if the school has a lender list. And then again, check to see if your state, like PHEAA, or wherever you may be, living, has a state loan program, because sometimes they have better rates and features. Here's just a slide about our program. Just just a little information. Again, you'll have this to refer to, but you can see that we have two loan programs, PA Forward for students in Pennsylvania, residents of Pennsylvania, and then we have the Keystone loan for outside of Pennsylvania and various states that are surrounding the state of Pennsylvania. So more information can be found at Keystone Student Loans, but a nice program, has a lot of nice benefits, has some really good interest rates. So if you're shopping around for a private loan, we encourage you to take a look at what we offer. We have some repayment calculators that might be helpful as you're kind of like, well, how much is this loan going to cost me per month? So you can plug in some numbers. There's one at studentaid.gov. There's one at youcandealwithit.com. So I highly encourage, if you really want to get into some of the numbers of what your student loan is going to cost you, these are really good calculators to plug in those figures and get some monthly payment results. The thing about private loans is that, and I said it before, your cosigner needs to have good credit. And what does that mean? Because this is usually something that if you didn't take a business school, a business class, you might not know how credit is structured. So we're giving you this little visual that good credit, there's poor credit, and it goes up to exceptional credit. And it's what's called the FICO score. And so, get familiar with FICO because, going forward, it impacts your ability to borrow. It impacts how much your interest rates are, because obviously the better your FICO score, the better you are a candidate for borrowing and the lower interest rates that you will get in any loan that you are applying for. So there's some bullets here about how to establish good credit, how to get better credit, pay your bills on time, have some good active accounts that are in good standing, which means you pay on time, you pay consecutive, and if you can, pay more over the life of the loan. So really a good slide for those that are just making an introduction to credit scores. Here's some really good resources as as you're delving into credit reports and your credit scores or your cosigner's credit score. Annualcreditreport.com, the very first website. Everyone can get a free credit report, just so you can take a look at what does my credit look like, right? What do I have any open lines of credit? Do I have any dings or bad things on my credit report? Because they can be fixed. So we're giving you some really great resource tools, but annual credit report allows you free credit report, and you can pull it for C TransUnion, Equifax, Experience. You can get one of those free. Um, I think it's a recorder if I remember correctly. So yeah, so utilize annualcreditreport.com, pull your credit just to see what's going on with it. It's important. And then we're just leaving you with some important resources, studentaid.gov, and obviously our Keystone website, our PA Forward website, Education Planner, mysmartborrowing.org, and collegecost.ed.gov. So all good resources so that you're in the know about this whole process of financial aid. The benefits of planning in advance, you'll have a better understanding of the cost of education as it correlates to the jobs that you will get with the degree that you get, whether it's a 2-year, whether it's 4-year, whether it's master's or beyond, right? Um, Lessen school transfers. It's good to stay in school. It's good to follow the track of your 4-year degree, or your 6-year degree, because if you're transferring, then you're spending more money to get that degree. So our message here was to do the advanced planning so that you pick the right school, that you pick the right program, and hopefully, see it through to fruition and then save yourself money by not transferring. You can, I don't want to scare anybody. If you've made the poor decision, or, you're like, oh, I don't like this. I thought I would, and I don't, you can always transfer. But if you do a little homework in the beginning, maybe we cut down on that option. Again, apply for those outside scholarships. It's really important. It helps you make, and then all this information we're giving you is going to help you make knowledgeable and affordable decisions. Understand the financial aid process, right? I don't want you to miss any of those deadlines. I want you to have your forms filled out. They're not as scary as you might think they are, and there's a lot of help out there. Please don't pay someone to help you with any of your form completions, whether it's the FAFSA form, whether it is a scholarship application. I think you can handle it. I think you can do it on your own. And I don't really think that, I know some people charge an exorbitant amount of money to fill out forms, but there are financial aid professionals to help you. There's your school counselors to help you. So really, I think this is something that you can do without paying someone, $250 to do it for you. And then, we're talking a little bit about the bill. And so you won't be caught off guard if you get that bill, like I said, around July 1st, and you're like, what? How much does it cost? You will be informed and you'll be able to afford your education, and, and again, borrowing conservatively. So planning and making good choices really does reduce your educational debt. Okay, so I hope the information we provided we found very helpful. You can find via PHEAA. We are in social media. So, feel free to click around and learn more about us and our products and our services. And again, the literature we showed early on, you can order that, take as much as you need. And here are our contact information. So if you need to reach out or you have special circumstances that pertains just to you, you can reach out and ask us. We'd be happy to answer any questions. So I want to thank everybody who's with us today. And thanks for my teammates who answered any questions in the chat. And again, if they have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. You'll have our information, and join us again with one of our webinars in the future. Thanks so much.
Thank you.